This is Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have Greg. Bakun. I was trying to stop myself from butchering it. You know me, king of butchering names. Greg Bakun from GhostBox. He has a radio show on iHeartRadio. He also does a web series. You can see GhostBox on YouTube. We're going to be having him as a guest. And of course, every Sunday night we do the World Wide Web of Weird. So we'll be doing that here in just a sec. And of course, I have my lovely co-host with us tonight, Jamie D. and Jeffrey Chan as our video engineer. And we'll have call-in lines into the show after the second commercial break. Those call-in lines are Soup Live Chat 800 Live Chat. That's a Skype ID. The other Skype ID is OOJBland00. And there's a phone-in line 219-230-4444. But don't call yet. We'll do that after the second commercial break tonight. All right, guys. We'll be with you in just one sec. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland. Our guest tonight, let me make sure I can get the screen up and everybody can see and hear our guest tonight. Make sure I'm on that so I can see. There's our video engineer, Jeffrey Chan. How you doing tonight, Jeff? We got Jamie D, our co-host. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing great, thank you.
Rob Autry, how you doing tonight? I just saw you joined. Oh, you're really quiet, Rob. Might want to work on upping your volume.
How about that?
There you go. Now we hear you. And then our guest tonight, Greg. I'm going to go right. I'm trying to go to Bakun.
No.
Bakun. Greg Bakun from GhostBox. How you doing tonight, Greg?
I'm doing well. How are you, Jason?
Doing good. You ready to get into some weird? We're bringing the weird here.
I'm all about the weird. So
all right. Let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. And with the dog agrees. The dog agrees. World Wide Web of Weird. He's excited. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, a lot of articles. This last couple of weeks, it's been hard. I haven't had a lot of great videos I wanted to show for the World Wide Web of Weird. I do have one at the end, though. It's really good. But we do have a lot of articles, and we're going to start off with something that totally interests me. Definitely clickbait headline, but it's the truth. The U.S. planning to create Space Corps, a sixth branch of the armed forces. Isn't there already a secret space program going on with the military? I don't know. Okay, this comes from the independent.co.uk. U.S. planning to create Space Corps, a sixth branch of armed forces. Let me get the screen on Jeff here. Bringing it up. There we go. Anger as opponents to move claim there was little time to protest against proposal. The House of Armed Service Committee has voted to create a U.S. Space Corps, which would become a new branch of the armed forces and incorporate the current space missions of the U.S. Air Force. If the U.S. Space Corps goes ahead, it would be the first new military service in country since 1947. 1947 with the Roswell crash? A little coincidence? No. The move has caused consternation as committee members of the panel say they were only recently informed, giving them little time to protest against the proposal. Mitch Turner, a Republican representative for Ohio, said he first heard about the proposal last week when it appeared before the subcommittee on the strategic force. I chastised my staff and said, how could I not know that this was happening? They said, well, they had a meeting about it and you missed it. Turner said, the meeting is certainly not enough. Maybe we do need a Space Corps, but I think this bears more than just a discussion in a subcommittee. We've not had Secretary Mattis come before for us and tell us what this means. We have not heard from the Secretary of the Air Force. There's a whole lot of work we need to do before we go as far as creating a new service branch. Martha McSally, a Republican for Arizona, was similarly caught off guard. This is honestly the first time I've heard about a major reorganization to our Air Force, said the retired Air Force colonel. In response to the criticism, Mike Rogers and Jim Cooper, the top Republican and Democrat on the Strategic Forces Subcommittee, said the dedicated space service has been mooted for years. There's been nothing short-sighted about this, Rogers said, according to the Federal News Radio report. We started working on it vigorously in September, and we've had countless meetings with numbers of experts who advise us as to how this should be constructed. In fact, this idea for a Space Corps is as one of the solutions to the Air Force Space came from the Rumsfeld Commission in 2001. I'm not gonna, you can find this article at independent.co.uk. You know, if they don't have a secret military space program going on, you know, if the Aurora project's not happening, if we don't have military DoD secret space program, we did. We got rid of it. They, you know, that's in the Freedom of Information Act. They know they had at least like 26 military DoD astronauts, but they mothballed it, supposedly. If we don't have a secret military space program, well, then we need to get one. We need to get a public one. I don't care. We need one because you know what? The next wars are going to be fought in space. I'm just saying, you know, if you want to shoot down a nuke, a big higher-powered laser from space, maybe, I don't know. Do they want to take out your satellites to snuff out your communications? Well, you need something up there to defend it, and maybe you need to take out their satellite. It's all going to be in space, and you know it's already happening.
You know my conspiracies when it comes to all that going on up there right now.
Yeah, I mean, heck, they had that that one. Oh, well, I already lost my the name of it. That one just recently was up for more than a year. That
the 10 years that X.
It wasn't 10 years, was it? It was only a year.
Yeah, like Spacecraft X or something. That's just
I don't think
been
it was 10
floating
years.
around. Are you sure?
Yeah, it was only like a year or more, or maybe almost 2 years. I don't know if you've heard of that one, Greg, but they had the shuttle flying around the planet and doing what God knows what up there because it was classified.
Yeah, you know, the problem is like we don't even have a NASA. I don't give our government the belief that they could actually do a Space Corps, whether it's something that we know about or don't know about, because they can't really organize anything. It never seems like they can organize anything. So I don't know if I believe it.
Organize?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I mean, just
never.
Absolutely.
But
I mean, NASA has been stagnant for so long now that I just don't believe it.
But the conspiracy theorists would say that's been done purposely to hold them back.
Well, my
to do the puppet show.
conspiracy mind is, okay, if we have, as they say, you know, SHF, you know, hitting the fan out here, where are we sending our rich and elite? Underground into these silos, right?
Or
but
to
what
Mars.
if people know, yes, that there's something even different, the sun going out, something crazy happening? Why wouldn't they maybe making these colonies and everything for the elite up in space?
Well, you remember 2012? I don't know if you ever saw that crap-ass movie with John Cusack. I love John Cusack, though. Remember there was the rich people. They already had spaceships. They knew it was coming. Like, the rich people were getting off planet. Yeah, you know, I don't know.
Well, look at what Richard Branson's doing. I mean, maybe that's his great plan.
And Elon Musk.
Route.
And Elon Musk. He's wants Mars, man. Yeah. All right, next
All I
up,
know
speaking
is
of Mars.
if we got to battle any extraterrestrials, we're going to be like bringing marshmallows to a nuclear fight.
Yeah, basically. All right, speaking of Mars, though, this next one comes from the Mirror. Have alien hunters discovered an ancient pyramid on Mars, anomaly spotted on Red Planet? YouTube user known as Art Alien TV posted a video online showing what he called anomalies on NASA satellite images of the surface of the planet. You'll see these. There's a little zoom-up picture down below there. That's the full picture there. Alien hunters claim they found what appears to be a pyramid in a bizarre dome structure on Mars. And for people, again, I always forget to mention this, on late night, we're streaming out to Facebook Live as a webcast. For people on Late Night in the Midlands radio network, I always post this World Wide Web of Weird. I just started doing it for you guys a couple days after I edit it down. If you just want to see the World Wide Web of Weird and I have to see the show again, if you want to see some of these videos, it will be on our YouTube channel at Paranormal Soup, or just type in Jason Bland. Either way, you'll find the World Wide Web of Weird there and all my previous shows. But back to the article. Alien hunters claim they have found what appears to be a pyramid in a bizarre dome structure on Mars. YouTube user known as Our Alien TV posted a video online showing what he called anomalies on NASA's satellite images of the surface of the planet, explaining the dome, claims that they look artificial, and he has not enhanced the image in any way. We have a clear 50-foot dome or sphere in the Mars crater with large pipes coming out of it. I don't know about the pipe. Well, I guess you can see pipes off to the side of it. Also, a triangular pyramid-shaped structure about 500 feet away from it that is 120 feet wide. According to Our Alien TV, the find was made by a fellow alien hunter, William Benton. He added, these features look artificial in nature and are clearly visible on Google Mars with no enhancements. You know, I've known about Google Mars. I want to go check out Google Mars. It's one of those things I've never got around to. But, man, I did Google Earth. But, man, I want to do Google Mars. I want to check that out. But I'm probably, like, looking at fake pictures. It's you know, we got colonies there already, right? The structures are between Marworth Vallis region and the God, I can't even pronounce. If I don't move to Mars, I can't pronounce their stuff. Crater, an area that was shortlisted on the Mars rover to explore for possible signs of life before the Gale crater was eventually chosen. But the claims by the so-called truth seekers searching for evidence of extraterrestrials on Mars is nothing new. In March, scorning pictures from NASA's Curiosity rover uncovered what they claimed were alien bones. Oh, yeah, we've seen those. The rover is currently exploring the rocky surface of the distant planet and makes all its images free to the view in the public domain. A pair of shots caught the interest of the alien hunting community after appearing to show decaying bones lying in Mars red dust. I mean, we've had all of them, and I skipped so much of it. I don't show it. I'm not going to put that at every world. I could have a Mars, what we found on Mars, every week on World Wide Web of Weird, because there's always something new. And I mean, I'm not saying I haven't seen some really interesting stuff. I mean, I did have a Mars thing last week. And here I am again, but I'm not going to do it every week. I could. All right, next.
Just 2 words for you, Jason. Yeah. Richard Branson again. This is all Richard Branson. Make no mistake. He made these. He made these temples on Mars. So just keep that in mind.
Oh, he's there already?
No, he's there already. Yeah, absolutely is. Yeah, he's rich. You know, he's rich.
That's not a triangle. It's a V for Virgin, right?
It's all part of the Virgin marketing plan, and we're falling for it.
Oh yeah. And they just came out with that thing too. They said that the Mars soil was like poisonous, that we wouldn't be able to grow anything now. That's what I just heard recently. I haven't read the article on it yet. All right, this one's been very viral and something I've always been interested in. I love good missing persons cases, and this is the ultimate one. This is from Unexplained Mysteries. It's been all over the place, and it's going to be on a new special coming up. Does new photo prove Amelia Earhart survived? A photograph pulled from the National Archives appeared to show Earhart at a dock on the Marshall Islands when the famed aviator disappeared over the Pacific Ocean during an attempt to circumnavigate the globe in her Lockheed Model 10 Electra in 1937. The question of what happened to her would go on to become one of the most enduring mysteries of a modern age. More recently, however, there has been a growing body of evidence to suggest that Earhart, along with her navigator Fred Noonan, may have actually survived for several days on a desert island after crash landing somewhere in the Pacific. Atoll Nukumuro, I cannot pronounce that, sorry. Now a new photograph dug out of the National Archives which shows a young woman sitting on a dock on the Marshall Islands is being touted as evidence that she's not only survived but was also rescued. It was possible the man on the far left of the picture is Fred Noonan. While it is far from clear that the woman in the photograph is Earhart, the possibility that it could be her will be explored in detail in a new History Channel documentary this weekend, just in time for the 80th anniversary of her mysterious disappearance. Did Earhart live out her days off the grid? Was she captured by the Japanese? Even if the woman in the picture is her, it certainly raises more questions than answers. I mean, how do they know it's her? I mean, who came up with this? I just don't. I guess we have to wait to see the special. You know,
that aired tonight too. Actually,
it did. It was tonight.
Yeah.
Have to look it
so
up.
I DVR'd it. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see it. We'll fire stick that. Oh,
so are they saying the woman whose back is to us,
yes,
the picture again, like sitting down?
Mm-hmm.
That extremely clear picture is Amelia Earhart. Huh?
Is that sarcasm?
Perhaps a little.
For our listening audience, if you haven't seen it, it's just a picture, like it says, on a dockside, and it's blurry, and there's ships and there's people, and there's one guy that they kind of circle out as being they think is her friend, and then there's this person with her back turned, her head looking the other way. Could be a boy, could be a girl. I don't know.
I think it's Elvis.
And Jeffrey, Jeffrey was back. He time traveled. No, but they're just, it's just her back on a dock. So I don't know why they're making this. There must be some big piece of tie-in to this photo, and a story or a witness. I mean, who would be alive to that's her? I don't know.
I thought her hair was lighter, also.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just, everybody here, if you look at the picture, though, too bad Todd's not on here. Kind of everybody's hair is dark. I don't know. It could be the shadowing, even light hair, maybe. Could be shadow dark.
Yeah,
I'm not the photo guy, though. I don't know. It's very suspect to me. There's always, it was a couple years ago that somebody thought they had found her bones, and then nothing came of it. So, who knows? Okay, next up in Worldwide Web of Weird, we got, let's see, this is another one from the Mirror. Had a lot of good one. Pastor slams fidget spinners as the work of Satan as they make children do the sign of the devil. And I didn't even know what a fidget spinner was until a few months ago when I get this thing in the mail from Jeffrey. And I'm like, what is this thing? I'm like, it's got wheels and spins. I'm like, oh, I guess it's some kind of fidget thing, because Jeff knows I'm sitting here fidgeting while I'm doing the show. Trying to give me something to fidget with, but you knew it was only about time that some right-wing religious person was going to have issue with something, with some new trend. It never fails.
Who could it be? Oh, I don't know. Satan!
So this religious leader says that the popular children's toy is a satanic invention, corrupting youngsters into making the devil sign with their hands. And for people who can't see this on the radio network, they got a picture of the pastor, and he's fidget spinning with the sign of the devil. Rock on, buddy. The pastor bans fidget spinners amid claims they make children do the sign of the devil. A pastor slammed fidget spinners as the work of the devil as they force children to make the sign of the devil while they play with him. Religious leader Juan Marino Avalos says the innocent-looking device is in fact one-way path straight to the devil himself. He uploaded a controversial video explaining his theory that the spinners come from the dark side and that children should be stopped from playing with them. The fidget spinner, which is a toy that was made to relieve stress and nervous energy for those with concentration problems, myself, has become a global fad for youngsters. The pastor from Paraguay holds up one of these spinners to show the different ways of using it. And again,
the reason they need to be banned is because there's very small parts that are choking hazards to children, as well as the ones that light up blow up when they overcharge.
It's Satan choking them.
So
no.
It's not Satan choking them. It's faulty manufacturing.
Who could it be? Oh, I don't know. Satan?
Church lady says it's Satan.
Another reason why they should be banned is because they're stupid. I don't know if that's enough reason, but that's
oh my god! I feel like I'm in this what of us? like I see all these little kids. I work at a retail in a mall, and they have these stands out there, and it's new set of kids gets their fidget spinner every day. They're all coming to my store, spinning them around and flinging them around, and oh my god, it's I feel like they're the village, the children of the damned. They're all going to turn their red eyes with their fidget spinners and say, "One of us," Okay.
At least you can play video games and become a modder later and make money. It's what are you going to do just sitting there fidgeting with your spinner?
It is a stress. I get the whole thing. It did help me until it broke. It does help me, kind of relax a little bit. I am a fidgeter. I admit it. Ask my wife. It drives her nuts. She wouldn't. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say what relaxes me is Jim Beam or Jack Daniels.
Yeah, I just pass out. I'm a lightweight. I'm a cheap date. You give me a bottle of Jack B, they'll still be sitting there pretty much
Jameson. That's another name that I like to use to relax. So
good old Johnny Walker.
Yeah, very much so.
I like to color. I relax by coloring.
Coloring or alcohol? There's healthier choices than fidget spinners because the fidget spinners are the devil. Okay, next up here, this is EU legislation. This is from Unexplained Mysteries. UFO Dozier covered up using EU legislation. The database of reports, which has been compiled by the UK Civil Aviation Regulatory Body, is thought to contain information of hundreds of UFO encounters reported by pilots and air crews. Normally, files like these are made available through the Freedom of Information Act, requests, but in this case, a piece of EU legislation appears to be blocking all efforts to have the reports released. Occurrence information can only be used for the purpose of maintaining or improving aviation safety, and the release of occurrences information to the general public or the media, including the response to the Freedom of Information Act request, is not permitted, the law states. However, if you require occurrence information for the purpose of maintaining or improving aviation safety, you're able to make an application to the CAA. Now, this article goes on, but they basically found a nifty way to stop any of the reports pilots make of seeing UFOs. Well, can't you? It's all, you know. Only can be. You can only make the Freedom of Information Act request if it has to do with safety. Well, a big freaking UFO out in front of the airplane is a safety concern to me. Okay, if I'm flying on that plane and I look out the window, and I've said this before on the show, and I see a UFO out there, I'm not gonna be like, oh, let's take a picture. Oh, fuck, I'm gonna be peeing myself. Okay, you know, I'm already nervous enough flying. I look out and see some dimensional alien ship flying by or hovering close, or you know, you hear these reports, I would be freaking out. I would not be comfortable with that, and to me that is a safety concern. You know, there's been some accidents involved with UFOs, or you know, at least with military pilots, but yeah, to me it's a safety concern. They should be able to make that the Freedom of Information Act, like, are there dangerous unknown flying objects in the air that we could run into? Did pilot see an object that he could run into in the air? Yes. There you go. That has to do with safety. I think that's the way around it. Of course, they'll find another way to deny their request, I'm sure. All right, last up, this is the video I have. This is pretty viral. It should be more viral, though. This is a pretty cool UFO footage. This is from July 4th, 4th of July. A mind-blowing UFO filmed over South Vancouver Island, BC, Canada. Ian Purcell, who filmed the mind-blowing object, managed to capture a very clear and very close-up image of the UFO, which you can see in the below in a 9.5 minutes of video. I didn't give us the whole 9 minutes video here. If Jeff plays it here, yeah, he's going to play it. I only took 40 seconds, but it goes on 9 minutes. But I got it around the 33 and 55 second mark for a clear. There's a clear still shot of the back, and at 50 seconds for a clear shot of the front. At first glance, I thought it was a drone. However, after a quick search on the web, I could not find similar objects. So, any idea what this robotic-like object, what seems to be under intelligent control, could be? Because I mean, you watch this video; it's pretty good. I don't have the audio with it, but you'll hear him and his girlfriend talking, or wife, I'm not sure. Like, what is that? You know, and they're like trying to zoom in. It appears like some legitimate footage. I don't think it's fake, but wait, what the heck is that? It is the weirdest. I've had some weird ones like this on the show before, but what is that? At first I was like, well, it's just falling debris, but it stays in the same spot. Watch the video. It's 9 minutes long. This thing stays in the same spot. This was when he got the clearest shot of it in the video. But it is really weird. It reminds me of, I've had a couple ones like this on the World Wide Web of Weird that seem pretty legit, and they're not what you would expect. It's not the flying saucer shape for people who are not watching right now. They're on the radio network. It almost looks like it's got these two, it's got like a back and these arms, or like it's like a torso and a head and arms or something. I don't know. It's weird. It's definitely weird. And that's what we'll end the World Wide Web of Weird on. Let me get the screen back to here. Check any of these videos out again on my Paranormal Soup YouTube channel. I do have a World Wide Web of Weird playlist on the Paranormal Soup YouTube channel where all the videos from all the shows are on, and I've been starting to edit the World Wide Web of Weird segment down just for that, for people on the LNM, the radio network, who want to check these out later. So check it out. Go subscribe to YouTube. All right, we're going to get rolling into our first commercial break. For people on Facebook, you won't hear the music, of course, for people new to the show. But when we come back, we're going to talk to our guest, Greg, from MN GhostBox, and we're going to talk about spirits. Can they come through on these devices? All right, guys, talk to you in just a minute. All right, you know we like to do GhostBox stuff on this show a lot. We're going to have our guest here, Greg, Bakun. I'm going to totally butcher that all night long. Sorry, Greg. We're going to have our guest here in just a second. We're going to talk about GhostBox, spirit boxing. We've done it live on the show. We love having people on here with their evidence. We're going to play a little bit of his evidence tonight in a video. He has a great YouTube channel, some really good content. But you can call in tonight. It'll be after the second half of the show on our Skype lines. Don't forget, it's Soup Live Chat, 800 Live Chat for the video call. For audio only, it's JBland 00. And then there's a phone number, 219-230-4444. All right, we'll be with our guest in just a sec. Hi, Greg. How you doing tonight?
I'm great.
Ran a little longer than World Wide Web of Weird than I thought we would. It was great to have you talk. I love it. That's what I want with my guests. Get involved. I like you guys' different perspectives, so thank you.
You're welcome.
But I want you to tell, send me reading the bio. I was going to do that. I'm going to have you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, how you got involved and all that.
Well, I guess for the longest time, I didn't really care one way or the other about paranormal stuff. It wasn't something I was really actively ever thinking about. In fact, there was some times I was watching some of the paranormal stuff on TV, and I'm talking like 15 years ago or something like that. And the stuff that they would do to try to get contact with spirits was ridiculous. So I thought it was silly. I thought it was dumb. So jump forward a few years later, and I started watching some more stuff. And I started seeing this thing called the spirit box being used. And I'm like, well, what on earth is this? If you could actually really get evidence and speak to a spirit in real time, it seemed like something that I really wanted to try and do. So I ended up getting one just with a friend at work, actually. We just got one, and we're just like, okay, let's see what we can get. And we went down to the basement of the building I work in. I still work there. The building was built in 1916, and we went down to the basement where no one goes, and it's just dark, and it's, what you typically would expect in your stereotypical haunting sort of location. We go down there and turn the thing on, start asking questions, and start getting answers immediately. And that was something that I didn't expect at all. I didn't expect to get answers. I didn't expect to get intelligent responses, and we got all that. And at that point, I was hooked. And I didn't really think I was going to do a whole lot more with it. But then as time went on, I started to dream every night. Actively dream about being on investigations, going to places, and being a part of things that I didn't really expect I was going to be a part of. And I mean, this was going on for probably about a year, and I am not kidding when I say every single night I had dreams of being on investigations, and they weren't scary dreams. It wasn't like, wake up in a cold sweat or anything, but it was like, oh, here I was again, and I kept feeling like I was missing out on something in my life. And then, so finally, decided that I was going to kind of do this more. But the problem with it, when I started Minnesota GhostBox, it wasn't so much of like I wanted just do investigations. I wanted to really share the stuff that I was doing, not because it's better than anyone else's, but because that's just the kind of person I am. I work as a producer at an advertising agency where we make videos and stuff. So it's like I have that in me. That's what I like to do. Whether or not anyone watches it, or when I started, it wasn't video, it was audio. We did audio investigations, kind of like a podcast, but it's a real-time investigation. It was something that I just wanted to do and tell the story of not myself, because that's what I really despise about the paranormal community at times, with people just, selfies, that sort of thing. But this was like the story of the places we went to. That was where it was most important.
The history. I've had some good guests on, the paranormal investigators have brought the same thing up. It's like, some of these places go in and they barely talk about the history of the place. And that's, as a viewer, I'm an investigator too. Mostly I do residential cases. I don't get to do a lot of historical. But, history is important in that. But for the really big, nice historical places, the best shows, the best ones I've seen really dig deep, have good researchers, really get into the evidence. But most of them, or not the evidence, the history, most of them glance over it or glare over it, and it's such an important part, especially about what the evidence might be.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest. I think it's one of the biggest parts. What we say with Minnesota GhostBox is, this isn't our story, this is their story. And that was something that we always had as our guiding force of, like, if it's the spirits or if it's the people who work at the place or the private cases that we do, we want to know what their story is. How does it relate to the story of the spirits there? How can we help? It's always about how we can help.
Exactly. And that's why I do a lot of residential myself, because, that's the main, a big historic location, it's going to be haunted, but with residential, I've lived in a haunted house. I know what it's like to live in one. So that's why I got involved into it. But, when you talked about the dreams, having the dreams, before me and my wife started investigating, I would have those dreams for years before I ever investigated that I was on a paranormal investigation. Maybe it was just watching too many Ghost Adventures or Ghost Hunters episodes. I don't know. I was a fan of it. I've always, since I was a little kid, been a fan of the paranormal. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I had those dreams too. It's kind of what definitely pushed me towards it.
I always feel like when I wasn't doing it, I was watching the shows. One of my favorite shows for paranormal is My Ghost Story, which is long gone. It hasn't been new episodes haven't been made in a long time.
Yep.
Loved it, and it just felt like that. I am missing out on being able to experience that stuff. And obviously, I'm sure you could say the same thing, Jason. I'm sure you could say the same thing, Jamie, is once you get into it, you don't want to not be in it because you're experiencing stuff that is you really can't explain to other people because it is so grand and because it's personal too. It's personal to us as the investigators.
Extremely personal.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to explain sometimes, that stuff that you just know deep in your gut, and there's just no way you could explain it the right way to someone and have them fully feel what you're trying to relay.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
For me, another thing, for people like me that have had like a lot of paranormal experiences through their childhood, for me, it's sick of people saying, "Oh, that stuff's not real." And it's like I want to capture evidence to say it is real. I'm not crazy. I've seen it. I've heard it. I felt it. It's real. And everybody has their different motivations for getting in, but most of us come to it and find we got to help people too, because that was so many people that do go through this don't have anybody to turn to most of the time. Their friends, family think they're crazy if they were to even tell them. I mean, it's definitely I don't know what your thoughts are on the paranormal community with all these shows. I think the best thing is the awareness. At least awareness has gotten out there. It's more of a real thing to people.
Social media has brought everybody together so much.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I wouldn't be able to do what I do without it for sure. But at the same time, I get worn down by the people who only want to promote themselves.
Ego.
And it's ego. And in my mind, it's always the same thing. If I see somebody posting who I friended on Facebook and they're posting about 40 selfies a day and you never see anything about paranormal, to me, that's like, well, I see what you are. Because I think a lot of people like the attention that it does give to them that they may never had before. And I mean, I certainly feel it. I do get that. But at the same time, it's like, well, if you're in the paranormal and you want to be a public face of some kind, then back it up with some paranormal stuff. That doesn't seem to be too unreasonable to me.
Right. Oh, no, I've seen it too. Or if they do present anything, it's so questionable.
Yes.
I've seen a lot, some paranormal investigators. I don't attack people on their evidence. I let it go.
No.
It's not worth my time. If I don't like the evidence, I just move on. That's how I am. I don't get into the fights about it that people do. That's the other thing I see paranormal community happening.
Yeah.
Is the fighting with that.
And I think you bring up a good point too with the evidence, because I think I have some pretty good evidence, but someone else might listen to it and be like, "That's garbage. I don't hear anything that you're saying," and that's fair.
That happened to me. I've had that happen.
Yeah, and I get it. I get it a lot. Yeah, and it's like that's fair. But it's to me, it's the fighting and the other stuff that's just like that's unfortunate because
it is.
It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, it just brings the whole community down when we should be working together, to try to advance this field and look for new ideas and, work together. Don't make us all look bad.
There's no need for all that. There's not just one person that's going to do it all. There's not the one. You need all these great people, all these great minds. Everybody has something different they bring to the table.
That's exactly
and collectively, you have the stuff that we're creating that's like bigger than us, and we're seeing it happen every day. And when you try to segregate yourself off to I'm like the expert in this and only I know this, and you cut everybody else off, you're cutting yourself off to a lot.
Greg, how, you told us how you got involved in it and all that, but what were you what was the first GhostBox that you were using? I'm curious. What was the first thing? I don't think I heard what you said it was.
The first one I was using is the same one that I use now mainly, and that's the SB7 Spirit Box. And I have I have a lot of friends who swear by not using it because it's the manufactured Spirit Box. I understand that, but I also feel like, it's kind of like, Paul McCartney with the Hofner bass. It works for him. People love it. And so for me, the SB7 Spirit Box has been giving me some great evidence, great responses. Does that mean it's the only one I use? No, but it's certainly the one that I start off with. And even because I have so many friends that are like, that white noise drives me crazy.
Yeah,
That's very valid.
Yep.
But to me, the responses, if you're getting responses, it floats above the white noise. And I get it. I always pick it up right away.
It is weird. It has like its own cadence.
Absolutely.
And, I went a couple years with people bringing SB7s. I'll be one of those people that was like, turn that goddamn thing off.
Absolutely. I totally get it.
It would just give me a headache. But I was on this investigation with Judy, that's been on the, started the show with me as an investigator in my group, and she's big. Before I ever was, she was big into the ITC and the spirit. I was always, I just want my recorder and I want to capture EVPs, because just straight EVPs, no nothing. And I love that. I still love that. But Judy would always like, all right, time to do a spirit box. I'm like, okay. And she would pull out the SB7, like, give me a headache. But there was this one night this is when I started to get hooked. And it's about the time I did, this is why I started getting on YouTube and looking at more stuff. And I saw Steve Huff and his stuff. We got this response where it said it said a name more than once. It was just coming through, and it was just like you said. It's like in that, it's in that. It almost like you say it floats above. I almost feel like it floats under it sometimes.
Sure.
I guess it's just a matter of perspective, but it's like, you have your noise here, and it's like under it or something, and it has its own cadence.
It's there, yeah.
And it said the name, Ivan, more than once. And when the client came back, we said, we were getting this name more than once. It said Ivan, and he knew you. And she's like, that was my uncle. He passed away 3 months ago.
Wow. That's
and
fantastic.
So then I was hooked. That was my best first, because at that point I'd gone over 5 years of investigating people pulling out spirit boxes. I would record the sessions and I'd listen back, and I don't know, I just never had anything good. And most of the time I'd get a headache from reviewing it. I would make other people, I'd like, you review your ITC session. I just got tired of it, and so I feel bad that I let it go. But then I got back into it, and one of the things that I discovered that I really enjoy. I made a cheap version of it at the time, was the using noise reduction. That's the basic of Steve Huff's portal, and that helped
like the pedal.
Yeah, it helped take out a lot of that, and I was starting to get some really good responses. So that's when I started to like dive into it.
It's funny that you're talking about not using it originally, because when I got into the paranormal, like when I decided I was going to kind of break out into like, not just doing my own thing, but start meeting the other groups and stuff, where there's this event that I got myself into. And it was a bunch of other groups. I've never met anybody before. And every single group was like, the Spirit Box. Yeah, I've heard of that. We have one. We never use it. We never get anything from it. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I always get something from it. And like within the month, I started kind of going with these other groups to investigations. Every single time they'd be like, well, if you want to use it, we have a couple minutes. One time in particular, we went for about 30 some minutes with just back and forth with spirits. What's your name? What's this? And we got intelligent answers. And then we shut it off, and someone's like, I've never used this thing for as long as you guys use it tonight. And because we give up after about 5 minutes.
Well, that's exactly why. You have to use this stuff continuously for at least 2 weeks and start having everybody tune into it. You can't just pick it up out of nowhere and expect it just to start doing stuff.
See, I was an EVP guy, and one of the things with EVP, I would find I could put a recorder and let it sit for hours and not get nothing, but I'd do a quick 10-minute session, and I'd get EVPs in a location. And so that's what was my approach to ITC when I first started, And there was a time, I didn't say we never got any evidence. I remember Crown Point Jail we did years ago. I remember it saying, we asked, who's down here, it said guard, and there was a guard there, and it said Aquavelva, which is what the guy, this inmate had killed himself in that spot drinking, and it said inmate too. And so we got some interest. I remember that. It was really cool, Crown Point Jail, but even then I was just like, the noise. But when you get that, it's like you're hooked. When you finally start really getting those replies, you're hooked. You start realizing there's something to this, And I think that's what it takes for people to, I think most investigators that don't know anything about it when they first started out were doing that 5-minute sessions because it's like, okay, shut it off. We're not getting anything. It's hard to sit there and listen to it.
And there weren't a lot of videos a long time ago, so now it's like you can see what other people, like, am I doing this right? Is it supposed to do this? What kind of sounds, what's it going to sound like? And then when you get to see everybody else using the same equipment you are, you can kind of, use that against what you're doing.
Rob, what you're saying?
When I first started using, GhostBox radio, whatever, like the first couple of weeks, I'm thinking, I don't know about this. This is kind of weird. And then, I'd get a few words here and there, but, it was like, well, maybe that was something. And then I got like a pretty much a full sentence as it was scanning across stations. And I'm like, okay, I can't debunk that one. There's got to be something there,
Especially when you get a full sentence.
Yeah, I mean, and it was relevant to what I was talking about. So
yeah, relevance, more than just yes or no answers. Those are things. What are the main things, too, Greg, that you look for in your replies? Because you got to know, you are getting radio signals. There's some stuff that comes through, you're just like, no. Are you looking just for that kind of cadence? Because that my ear kind of goes to that sometimes. How do you decipher what you think is a reply?
So one of the things I do when I'm using the SB7 is I try to make sure that we're going at the fastest sweep rate, because the faster you go, the less chance you could be picking up other radio stations. So that's the first thing for me. Heading back, like listening, we'll do a reverse sweep on it, on the SB7, and going backwards, it's really hard to pick up the radio when we're going as fast as we are. Then always listening for like 2 syllables or more to a word. If it's like 1 syllable, it's probably easier to listen when you play it back and determine whether that's a response or not. But at the time, like if I hear my name is 1 syllable. So it's just like, it could just be, it's like, oh, is that my name? You don't know. Like Jason, that's 2 syllables. That's going to be a lot easier to pick up live than anything else. Rob, that might be a little bit more difficult too. Jamie, well, that's 2 syllables. For me, a holy grail is full sentences. We always talk about that. Nicole, who investigates me, she's an intuitive. She's a medium. We always say if we can get full sentences, and we do very often, then we're doing something right. That's what we're very happy about. So it's those. When I'm using anything that is not an SB7, not a manufacturer, like a hack of some kind, for me, I much prefer to go back and listen to it before I make any determination on a response, because you are getting a lot of radio in there. Mm-hmm. And it's so easy, in my opinion, to get confused with all the stuff going on that I prefer just to listen back. And, if you say you watch Steve Huff and stuff, he always says, Huff and stuff, I like that. He always says that, you probably pick up, I think he said, like, you only pick up like 10 or 15% of what's actually being said if you're not recording it and not going back and listening to it. And that's very much the case. You always, with everything, you always have to go back and listen to it.
Oh, our last ITC show, we more than once, one caller, Nicole, she called in for her father, Greg. That's a similarity there.
That's weird.
But people can check this out on my Paranormal Suit playlist or on our Facebook, Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Suit page. There's a video there. You can see I did a separate one just to her. There's a 45-minute one as everybody called in. But it says right before she calls in, Greg's a girl or something like that. But it says Greg. You can hear it. It fully says it. It says it 2 more times. And then we find out, because the test that night was don't tell us your father's name, or whoever you're trying to contact, don't tell us their name. Mm-hmm. Let's see if they'll say it. And it said it 3 times. I said 2 times in the video, but I forgot. It said it 3 times before she actually told us what his name was. And we didn't hear it. As soon as she told us his name, it said Greg right after she said the name. It said it. Everybody heard it. And like you said, it's 1 syllable, but when you really listen to it, it's Greg. It's clear as day, Greg. It's not like Greg. It's Greg. Yep. And that's what you have to listen for. I've thrown out a ton doing the VVP and ITC, where it's just like, it could be that, but it's so quick. Maybe they're trying to say it. I don't know.
I think it's a good point, too, that sometimes, because of the way that they're speaking to us, words will get elongated. Greg will be Greg. And I actually have one like that I picked up some evidence that was like that. My name came through and it was long, and you can hear all of us in the room go, "Oh yeah, that's your name." You know, it's so obvious. And yes, that's very much the case.
I said my name in a very deep demonic voice.
Well, that's always good. That means good things. I don't know if you knew that, but it means good things. So
really?
You're no, not really.
No? Darn it. Come on, get my hopes up. Like, really? Damn. It was really deep and dark. It didn't sound good. It sounded like I was screwed. And there's one...
You're screwed.
I've been listening back after, and I don't know if you ever do this. You edit your stuff, you think you got it all, and you put it out there, and you go back and you catch a new one. You're like, wait a second, how did I miss it? And that happened with his last one, because there's one, I swear it says, "They are mine." And I'm like, okay, that's creepy. I didn't tag that one because I missed it, but now I've listened back, editing it a billion times, and after I posted it, I'm like, wait, go back to that. I'm like, it's saying "they are mine," like, and we're talking about, the people we communicate and stuff like that. That was kind of creepy. I might have to go back and edit that one.
Yeah, I actually ended up getting something similar because I normally don't do sessions in my own house, and this one I got a new custom made. Once a month, yeah. I did a session with a new box I got that was custom made, and I didn't catch it the first time, and actually Nicole caught it when she was watching the video, and she goes, "Actually, what it says there is, we want this person, this resident." And like I said, this was at my house.
And shut the box off! Shut it off! Well, that's a good point, though. I mean, so you rarely done it in your house, but have you had any paranormal activity, you think, in your home from doing this? Even it following you home? Because that's my wife. She wards the house, actually. Mm-hmm. But even before I got into all this, she felt stuff following me home because we have weird stuff that happens. She actually wards the house, and when stuff weird starts happening, she does it again. And I'm allowed to do my ITC once a month. But for you doing it, do you feel like stuff's followed you home, or you've had weird things happen?
Oh yeah, I mean the thing is that spirit box, just like an Ouija board. Yeah. I know people like, Ouija boards are bad, and they're not great. But Spirit Box really is no different. It's you're opening up that portal. You're talking. You're inviting people to talk to you. Hopefully, it's people. It may not be people. We've had it where it hasn't been people talking to us. It's been people who've been trying to trick us. Spirits trying to trick us, trying to make us think we're talking to a small child. We're not talking to a small child. I'm intuitive. Nicole is heavily intuitive. We know you can't fool us, but they still try to. And there's stuff here. And it was interesting because one of Nicole's friends didn't know that I was using the spirit box in the house, and she Facebooked me out of the blue, and she was just like, "I have this feeling you're using the spirit box, and I have this vision of you using it, and some demon is behind you and just puts his arms around you, hands are on your heart, and my vision ends, and my visions don't end that way." And, it was. Yeah, I would agree with that. And, it doesn't take many of those to be like, maybe I won't do that here, Maybe I'll do that somewhere else.
My friends...
Like Jason's house.
Well, see, Rob and Jamie and Bill that comes on the show with us on the ITC shows, we're all doing it in our house. And for me, like I said, my wife is like, "I don't like you doing it in the house. I know you're doing it for the show." And so it's once a month. And maybe a little experimentation when you're setting up something new, but don't you be doing it more than that. And I don't. If people see, I don't rarely ever get on. I basically get on live for my show, and I only do that show once a month. And I set up call lines for it because my idea was I wanted to get random people I've never met call in a show. I want to see what is the space these spirits dwell in. Like, can they reach us through the internet? You know what I'm saying? Do they hear the audience? Because right now, when I play my spirit box, I don't know if you've experimented this way. It goes straight into the mixing board. There's no audio out here because I have kids. I don't want it playing in the house, and I want them sleeping. But I swear, even then, it knows who's in the chat rooms. It knows. We've had responses to people, and it knows the people calling in. It's like it can hear them in the wherever the sound's going. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's the weirdest thing, and it's hard to wrap my mind around. I don't know if you've had any experiences doing what you've done, doing shows. Have you done any live spirit box with shows like that?
I haven't, only because I don't want to do it in my house. Yeah. If I were to join you, because you mentioned like doing the once a month thing, I would go actually I have a place in mind that I would go to that I know has activity, and I would do it from there.
That's awesome.
I would do it from there.
I always love from location, you know.
Yeah.
We have had some stuff. I've had some weird stuff when I've done it. One of the first times I learned my lesson with it, I was experimenting, trying to figure it out, and my son was upstairs. This is before my youngest was born, but when my oldest, Dean, was upstairs, he was probably, 4, 3? Because this is 2 years ago when I first started doing this with these guys. I think we were live. I think one of you guys were on, or a couple of you guys were on with me, and I could hear Dean calling me. I'm like, I gotta go. Hold on. I go upstairs. He's like, there was an older man with glasses and a young girl, and I'm like, what did the young girl like? She had dark hair and a white dress.
That was crazy.
And what's creepy about it? He said the old guy with glasses could be one of my great grandfathers, and I always had this young girl ghost follow me around. My mom found out my unborn sister from a psychic who said, you know that little girl your son talks to? My mom's like, what? Because I did. She's
and
like,
wasn't he crying because she was crying?
No, he was just crying. He was just crying because he didn't know who these people were in the house. And he was hiding under the table. Now, my son has a wild imagination. But after that, I was like, okay, no more. Just once a month. That's when I do it. I feel bad because I'm friends with people like Matt Payne. He's made a great app with me called the Raven app. And I was like, I need to test it and do that. I haven't tested enough. Yeah. I need to do it more on the show because I don't want to do it here. I wish I had a space I could go to do it. And, you know,
yeah.
I tell this to people. Yeah, we do this on the show. I had a fellow investigator who moved to Ohio. He was on the show, Ricky Koikener. I'm totally butchered. Sorry, Ricky. He was like, why would you be doing that spirit box? Isn't that as bad as a Ouija board? I go, oh, yeah, it is. But we're experimenting. I'm trying to learn something new. This helps me with my investigations for doing this once a month because I'm perfecting what I'm doing, you know. And I'm trying to me, prove that it works. And the best thing for me is to see if spirits will come and talk to my callers into the show. You know, it's just, I think we could really prove something doing that, maybe. I hope.
The problem is, too, it's so tempting because it's an obsession. It's an absolute obsession. I want to hear other voices. I want to talk to them. So it's like, well, you know, I see other people doing, like, daily videos and stuff, and it's like, I'd like to do that, too. But I just can't do it from my home, and it's been tough because it's like, yeah, I can go on location or something, but that just makes things a little bit more complex.
You're a family man?
I have 2 cats. Does that count?
2 cats? Okay. Well, I'm a family man. My reason is if I was a single guy, I didn't have a girlfriend, and I didn't have kids, like I lived by myself, I'd probably be doing it. I don't think I would resist the temptation. I don't think I could resist. I would be probably doing it like Bill does because he's a single guy, and I would probably be spirit boxing a lot more. And I don't recommend it to people. I don't.
But
I don't at all.
Even so, I think like with me, I'll take little breaks. I do like the things I got to do, but then I take, you know, at least 3-4 days to kind of let things clear, and then I'll do it again. I don't think it's good to just go like straight 6 months, you know, nonstop.
No,
you know,
I've had that. Doing that.
Oh yeah. Oh, no, there's one night. Get this one, Greg. There's one night we're doing the live ITC, and I think it was Rob and me that night after we got done. My fire alarm went off at 3 a.m. Now, he's on a different time zone, but it was 3 a.m. your time, wasn't it?
Yep.
When it went off. So it wasn't at the same exact time because we're on 2 different time zones, but I got it at 3 a.m. My fire alarm went off. I'm like, I thought my house was on fire. There's no smoke, no reason for it to go on.
Our house burglar alarm went off, too,
that same night, your house burglar alarm. So all of our alarms, if you had an alarm, we were on the show, went off. So
mine just went off.
Weird stuff.
It went off for like maybe 15 seconds or so, and then it stopped. Weird.
So did ours, and there was no record of it.
I guess for me, if someone out of the blue tells me that they have visions of demons sucking the life out of me, that's kind of good enough for me, at least. I mean, you guys haven't had that, so that's good. I mean, that was for me, just like, you know, pretty much like,
you know, you have people like Steve Huff that's, you know, he's been attacked more than once. You know, he says it's because he just posted an article about it again today because people are like, why don't you cross people over anymore? And he's like, because I got attacked twice because of it. You know, that's one thing we've mentioned. Do you need help with the light? Okay, well, go get the help. I want to do it now after I heard that, because you hear all these people.
Yeah.
I saw one guy. I don't know who he was. It was years ago, or a couple of years ago when I first started getting this. So one guy just, he was getting really good responses. I don't know who the guy was. I haven't found him since, but he had a YouTube channel and he was really religious about it, and he would say the Lord's Prayer and cross spirits over, and man, he was getting responses. I think because of that, but you wonder if there's a danger to your actions with it. How do you
don't know where you're sending them?
Yeah, well, true. I mean, if you go
I disagree with that. I think you do know where you're sending them to. I mean, I have a lot of people who are
medium friends
really
that do
good with that, and they know where they're sending spirits to.
I mean, I've done it on investigations. I've had a medium do it.
Yeah.
See, I'm just not confident enough. I'm like, if there's something you can physically tell me that you need help with and I can do it, I'll help you. But as far as me just sitting there and then giving them just directions, I don't feel right. I don't feel comfortable.
Well, I think the difference there, though, is that just because if someone said to me, cross me over, or whatever, the same sort of thing, I'm not going to do it because I don't know how to do it. What I'm saying, though, is the people who do know how to do it, they know where they're sending spirits.
Oh, definitely. Like Josh Lewis with Hope is amazing.
Yeah, he does that. See, Josh is very committed to trying to cross spirits over.
He's a good light worker.
Yeah, he is. And that's the thing. I think it comes down to the person. We're the medium, I think. I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel it's not just a spirit box. It's a two-way thing. It's us and the spirit box. It's if you let it play alone in an empty room like the quantum effect, nothing will happen. But I think it's a two-way medium. I don't know how you feel about that.
We're almost like a messenger.
I think like for me, I feel like the spirit box is just an addition to my hand. Yeah. I feel like that it shows me.
Now, do you when you do go on investigations, do you do anything to protect yourself at all? Like what kind of things do you use to protect yourself?
First of all, it's obviously setting the intention of like why I'm there. I mean, it's like what I'm there for, what I'm hoping to be able to help with or do at the investigation. But then we'll do the just the kind of the concentration, the meditation of the bubble of light coming from your heart that envelops you, envelops your friends, just asking for protection and being strong with it. And then when you're done, same sort of thing, making sure that you're asking that no one follows you, that this session's over, that you stay here, I'm leaving, that sort of thing.
Too, I think you talked about the thing intent. We don't seem to get too much negative that's come through on our ITC Collective nights. The only reason is because I'm kind of a goofball. When I do those nights, because I'm not in a location, I'm not on an investigation, because an investigation I'm very serious. But I'll admit, on ITC Collective night, I like to have fun. I like to joke. I like to joke with the spirits. I like to keep it positive and upbeat, because why? I'm in my home. I don't want to. I think by doing that, I honestly believe by keeping it positive, upbeat, and not asking for negative, that we kind of kept it away. Like we don't get anything. I've never had anything negative happen to me from doing it yet.
I think our spirits also get to know each other, like how we all kind of have our regulars too, as we know each other and they know us. I think they just know that our intent. They know what we think and what we feel, and they know that we're just here for what we're doing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And a great example for me was Nicole and I were in Kentucky a couple of years ago. We're shooting for the web series there at a Masonic lodge. And what ended up happening is we actually were able to get into Bobby Mackey's while we're over there.
Oh, awesome.
And I put on the on my Facebook, I was going to say on the Facebook, on my Facebook, that I'm going into Bobby Mackey's. I'm looking forward to it. Everybody was responding, well, this is the portal of hell. Good luck. Right. Gosh, they were praying for you. I lit a candle for you. All this stuff. We went in there. Then we go in there, and with everything that we do, it's never about, oh my gosh, we want to rile these guys up. We want to go down to the basement, to the portal of hell, and get. We just acted like ourselves. We did what we would normally do. We get down there. We do some spirit box work down in the basement. We don't get a ton. We get some, and then we end up going upstairs, and we start getting a ton of stuff upstairs. We get over by the bar and everything, but then we go up to the third floor, which, oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of the custodian that used to live there, and he passed away. Went up to his apartment, and we got a lot of great, meaningful evidence up there and conversations. It's like, this place wasn't bad at all, and I think it's because people go in there expecting it to be that way, and we went in there expecting just to
think of all the
contact
TV shows.
the ones who want to contact us. Yeah.
Think of all the TV shows that, A Haunting and the paranormal groups that have gone in there, they all play up to that. It's TV, People are fascinated with the dark.
Oh,
if it was like, let's
show me what you're capable of, and then when they do, they run with their tail between their legs.
I think a great example of this. Oh, sorry, Rob, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing.
I was just going to say, I think a great example of this too was up by me is the Palmer House, and it's been on a lot of different shows.
Mm-hmm.
It's been on Ghost Adventures, and it's been portrayed as a place that's dark and has stuff hiding in the basement and stuff. I'm not going to say that it was completely wonderful. There is some stuff there, but I've investigated there nearly 10 times now. And we did a couple episodes of the web series there. And what we ended up getting is we got some great responses, some good people, and realized that this place isn't dark at all, but it's just a wonderful historic place with very active spirits that want to talk to you if you're going to treat them right.
And these things get their dark reputation from people who don't also. I mean, it becomes dark because people tell their ghost stories, and their ghost stories are always going to be dark, even though the spirit might not be, because their fear of the unknown, the fear of a ghost, it could be Casper, and they're still going to run, and it's normal.
Great point. Yeah.
That's why I always wonder if people get into this, if they're, truly afraid of it, what the hell are you doing it for?
That's the adrenaline junkies that get involved.
Yeah,
I've worked with some, and it's hard. It's like, you don't want adrenaline. You don't want that adrenaline will fool you into seeing and hearing things. You want to tone that down. You don't want your adrenaline kicking in.
See, I don't even get that little fear. I don't have that fear. I get that fear with living people, but I've never been in a situation someone said, what was your most scariest haunted experience? I'm going back to 4 years old. Nothing like that I could think of scary living person experiences.
Yeah. And that's not bravado. That's just an immunity in a way, because we've all, me, Rob, and Jamie, I know we've all experienced so much that
I've had a few things that have literally scared the crap out of me.
Oh, I have too.
But
well, yeah, you guys had
when I was a kid.
Crazy.
When I was a kid and when I was a teenager, I had very scary experiences, but we're not going to get into that. We are going to come up on our second commercial break, and then after the commercial break, I do want to get into. We have one video from your a little clip from your web series we're going to play, and then we're going to see if we can get Jeffrey to play a couple MP3s. Do you have those titles so he'll be able to pick those out?
Yeah, they're numbered. If you guys let me know like what number, or I could let you know which number you might want to do, then we can place them that. Okay.
Okay, cool. All right, let's go ahead and roll into our commercial break here. Again, guys, we'll have call-ins. I'll give you the numbers when I come back from the break here into the show. You can ask Greg questions. Great time if you're a spirit boxer out there and you want to ask Greg a question about his technique, how he does, or his advice, or you have a haunted location, you want an advice, you got plenty of paranormal investigators here to help you out. Call into the show. All right, guys, we'll be with you just after this short break.
The Late Night in the Midlands radio network is deeply devoted to you, the listener. We feel it is necessary to bring you all of the information that you can use in your life. Each and every day you will find something to listen to here. And whether you come away from the shows informed, inspired, or entertained, it is our passion. We don't bow to corporations, and we don't have handlers to tell us what not to talk about. We bring you everything. Late Night in the Midlands, however, is fully listener-supported. We need your help to stay on the air and to make sure that we get the bills paid. We need your help to keep the truth alive. If you feel that you have gotten anything out of Late Night in the Midlands, we would appreciate your support. You can become a subscriber and help us out on a monthly basis, or if you'd like, a one-time donation is fully appreciated as well. Every year, the average household in America spends over $3,000 on entertainment alone. If you could help us with just a tiny fraction of that amount, you would make all of the difference. Go to latenightinthemidlands.com and click on the subscribe button. Thank you, and as always, keep yourself informed.
We're showing some evidence tonight here in just a second. We're going to show some clips and some audio of ITC that Greg has done with his GhostBox group. I love this stuff. I love the evidence. I love getting to show it. So we're going to do that in a second. But we also take callers into the show, guys. There's a number of ways you can call. If you're a Ghostboxer, it's a great time to call in, honestly. You can call in on Skype video line is Soup Live Chat, 800 Live Chat. There's an audio only 2 Skype lines. There's J Bland 00, and there's also a Paranormal Soup J Bland Skype line as well. Don't know how well that one works. And then there's a phone line if you just want to call in by phone at 219-230-4444. All right, we'll be with our guest in just a sec. All right, welcome back to Paranormal Super with our guest tonight, Greg Bakun. I'm going to butcher that. Keep butchering it. Sorry. I'm the worst at. I am the king of butchering names. If they give a word for it, I'd win.
My name. It's just my name. It's what people identify me as. No biggie. That's quite all right.
It's just your name. Nobody.
Not a big deal. Who needs them? You know.
All right. Well, Jeffrey, first, let's. I want people to see. You like you said, you definitely can see you have a background in video production. You put on a very good show. Jeff, do the video first. Let me get the screen share up here for everybody to see the whole video. All right. Go ahead and roll that footage, Jeff.
7 spirit box, even though some people look down on it. As far as I'm concerned, if you're getting results, what's the problem? That being said, this evidence was taken from a hacked spirit box, which is an old radio changed to run as a spirit box. The night we interviewed Brady and Tam, a few of us stayed behind and got some great responses from some spirit box sessions. Here are some of the responses.
What did you hear?
It sounded like a...
What did you hear?
It sounded like a...
Are you okay with us down here right now?
Right there.
There's a lot of...
This is my favorite piece of spirit box evidence, as we were in the basement and we felt and saw a dog walk through our group. I ask a question and get an intelligent response.
Is somebody's dog here?
You definitely are getting some really cool responses on just that little video. And you got, like, how long are your webisodes?
I try to keep them, like, if we go to one location, I like to break it into 2, maybe 15 to 18-minute episodes. To me, the whole thing, when I watch a lot of other people do paranormal webisodes that are, we're in the same group, we're not professionals, or at least we're not picked up by anybody, for me, it's always about trying to get it as succinct as possible, trying to get it so that I'm not losing people watching because we're taking too long with exposition or setup or about ourselves. I try to keep it as tight as possible. So I have about 15 minutes.
That's pretty good. And I was watching some of your videos, and it is very heavy. What I love about it, heavy evidence-based. You get right down to the nit and gritty of it, and I love that. It, make you a YouTube star. Honestly, well, my show is 2 hours long. It's hard for me to get a lot of views.
But it's a different thing altogether, though, right? I mean, because yours is worth the 2 hours. If I did 2 hours, I think people would be like, "You gotta be kidding me!" It's just it's very different.
That's a documentary.
Yeah, and when people, I like to think when people come to watching the web series, it's not because of my amazing good looks, but more of the evidence. And let's get to it. Let's get to it right away. Let's talk to the people about the location, and then let's get to the evidence. And as little of me as on camera as possible is the best. That's a successful episode right there.
That was my thing too. Like, being with paranormal groups, they always talked about trying to do like a mini, like something like you do, like a television series and that. More power to you, because for me, I just don't want to. I don't want to deal with it when I'm on an investigation, like filming. I film for EVP sessions for more like, okay, I know these sounds I got on this recorder, but didn't show up on the video camera, and I don't see any noises that could possibly throw you through the video. I don't ever shoot for making a kind of a webisode, and like you said, a lot of people do, and they focus so much on them. There's not as much evidence, and I love you, and I noticed too with our friend, we just had Chill Seekers on last week. They do this too. They get right to the evidence a lot. You'll see them talking, you'll see you talking a little bit, but it's boom, boom, boom. It's right to the nit and gritty. It's the good stuff. Yeah,
I've had a lot of people come up to me and ask me like, hey, can you help us put together our web series? We see what you do. We want to do it too. Can you help us with it? And I always say, no way.
Yeah, exactly.
It is so hard.
Oh
it is the most difficult thing I've ever done, and it's because my rule is always like, if you're on to something, if you're doing like a scene, change your shot every 3 seconds, and that means you have to have shots. That means you have to have a lot of cameras set up. That means you have to know what the footage you have. And I have, per like the Soap Factory, which is where that episode took place, we shot there 3 times over a year, and ended up with probably about 50 hours of footage, and then we cull that down to a total of 30 minutes, 15 minutes for each episode. So it's a lot of work, and trying to keep it fresh.
Editing sucks. I went to school for video.
Hold on there a second.
I hate it. I went to school for it, and I hate it.
I did too. I'm an editor, and I do love that. But what's funny is I love the parts where I'm doing the story up front more than editing together the evidence.
Yeah.
Because I love telling that story of those people, which is too bad we couldn't get the P&A stuff to play, because that's a great example of.
I'm so sorry.
I
wish I could. I had trouble getting that video to work. Darn it, too. And I watched it, and I was like, "Oh, this would be good." And I didn't get it.
Well, I was telling a friend actually before we got on. It's like, you know what? If they can't get that to play, that's fine. As long as he can say my last name correctly, I'll be fine. So.
Happy to disappoint. No, sorry. Before we get into some more evidence, we do have a caller on the line. How you doing tonight, Zach?
Hey, Jason. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Rob. How's everybody doing?
Doing good. You always have wonderful questions for my guests. What's your question tonight for our guest?
Well, I just have 2 questions. Greg, it's very nice to meet you, man.
Very nice to meet you. Thank you.
As you mentioned before in the show, you said that you have an intuition to be able to differentiate between what is a child spirit and what may be like a demonic spirit that's masquerading as a child spirit. My question to you is, just to visualize what that inclination looks like, what are some criteria that you look into to differentiate the two and determine exactly if it really is a child spirit, or like I said, if it's like a demonic entity that's posing itself as a child spirit?
It's a good question, because I think the one time in particular that I'm thinking of it happened was very obvious, and that was over at a Masonic lodge in Newport, Kentucky. That it's a Masonic lodge, and
I've done one of those.
Yeah, and you're getting a child there at 2:30, 3 in the morning. Which is the first time you get them at all. And the whole night had been nothing but misdirection from spirits. And, it's probably one of 2 times that I've actually seen both Nicole and I get scared of being in a location. Scared in the sense that we kind of feel like we are actually in danger. Like there is something that's going to happen to us there if we don't get out. And that's very rare for us to happen. And that's a good example of, even if you go in there with the best intentions, sometimes the powers that be are in there are too powerful to even for us to ignore. But I think I don't want to give the impression that it's like anytime I get a child spirit that it's like, oh, obviously that's going to be a demon or something like that, or someone trying to mess with us. I think a lot of it comes also down to just a common sense in both the spiritual and human realm, where it's like we got children at the soap factory, but there's reasons for that. There's background, there's history to it. It felt right. Here, it didn't feel right, and I think that's a difference. And I think that's where you have to listen to yourself when you're in these investigations. Listen to your gut, listen to your intuition. That stuff is going to tell you what's going on and how to know when something isn't right. And sometimes something may not feel right, and you're wrong. It is right, but it's always good to listen to that intuition. Better be safe than sorry, I think.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that, man. Because it's always I've seen different stories about like different encounters where there is a spirit that's supposed to be haunting a home, but then later it turns out to be something completely different. So I definitely wanted to ask that question. My second question is, I definitely love spirit boxes though, because I mean you do get EVPs right there in real time. Mm-hmm. But another thing that, at least with me though, when I listen to EVPs, sometimes, I mean, they can differentiate. Some of them you have to go back over and over again to review because, I mean, it's very difficult to hear exactly what this entity is saying. But some of them, I mean, they're so clear that it's almost like someone's right there in the room talking to you.
Absolutely.
So my second question is, does a spirit's level of interaction with the physical realm actually determine the quality of EVPs?
It's a good question. I've always kind of associated it with like the energy that they can pick up from the spirit boxes or the equipment that you use. I also, we make sure that we tell people, especially because we'll do a lot of events with people, like with groups, and we've had one person one time be like, when we're starting a session, be like, you can use our energy. It's like, no, you can't use any human's energy. You can use the energy from the box. You can use the energy from the lights, electricity, but you can't use it from any living person. I've always associated it to the energy that they're using. But what you're asking is whether or not that they come through often and like how much time they spend with us. If that makes it clearer. That's a great question. I do not know that. I think anything's possible. I think that anything could happen there.
Yeah, and I do apologize, Jason.
Questions.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I do apologize. There was one more question that just came up, and I promise it's my last question. Greg, my question to you is, when it comes to doing an investigation, do you have a preference to using spirit boxes, or do you prefer to use apps, and why would you prefer to use the method?
Stole my question I was going to get to tonight.
So yeah, and that's also a good question, because it seems like that we're going down the app road quite a bit. And I've tried some apps, and they haven't worked for me. Some apps I get to work intermittently, like the Echo Box. I get to work, and it's funny getting once again in Newport, Kentucky. Actually, Cincinnati is right on the other side of the river, and Kentucky starts up. So we're actually staying in Cincinnati. We're at this hotel that goes back to like the 80s, so it's not too terribly old. But you go in there and you're like, this place is very active. You can just feel that it's a very active location. So we're in there. And we're in it. It's empty. It's a Friday night. This place is a ghost town, no pun intended. And we go into a ballroom and we start up the Echo Box. First thing that comes out of it is a very deep go away. And like, well, this works, obviously. But we're one of those people that if we get a response and someone says go away, we're going to go away. That's just how we are. Whether that's right or wrong, it's just we play it safe more times than not. Like, they don't want us here. Why are we going to be here? So that's done. I just started using. Have you ever heard of the Phasma box at all?
I have not.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So it's and I need to look up who makes it. But I just got that a couple weeks ago. We went to a location that the house that we went to actually was a very small hospital that went back to the Civil War. And we turned it on, and we started getting a lot of responses, like right away, that were medical related. and it was very interesting. And a couple, we kept getting this like child laughter in there, and I don't know if that's really laughter or if that's like some sort of byproduct of the app. But with like, you know what, this is the best app I've used so far, and I'm definitely going to use it again. And you don't need an internet connection for it. So it's one that I would recommend taking a look at. And it was only like $14, so it's not too terribly bad. My first preference, though, is always going to be using a physical spirit box. To me, it just seems like, that frequency that comes in, I love it. And that's the way I want to go, generally speaking.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Greg, for answering my questions, man. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling in, Zach.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
You too. Yeah, you should check out for free apps, especially ones that just have a bank. You don't have to have internet. And I know he has some. Like I said, I made the Raven X app with Matt Payne from the UK. He has a number of free apps. He has ones you have to pay for, but they're like only a couple bucks.
Nice.
But they're really nice apps that have banks and stuff. And I've gotten the best one is the Portal app. It's my favorite. I think I've come out to like the best because it has reverse. All the audio that's coming through is reversed. And
nice. Yeah.
So, and that's something me and Matt had talked about before, and I know Steve has experimented with is reversed audio. I have different opinions than some people that have experimented with reversed audio because I know about experiments people have done with reverse speech and getting people, they feel like they can get like an idea of a person's subconscious through reverse speech. So some words do come through for reverse speech, but when it's relevant, when it's relevant to what you're talking about, it's pretty interesting because it shouldn't be really sounding like any words because it's all reversed. I've actually had a reverse EVP too, so that's another reason it interested me. Like an actual recorded EVP that came in and played it in reverse and it actually says something.
That's great.
I'd like to get to, we might have another caller, I don't know. Some of the EVPs that you've recorded. Do you have one you want to call out to Jeff to try?
Why don't we start with, see if I have it on here. Let's see. Sorry. The one that I wanted to start with isn't on here, so let's do something else. Here it is. It's MN-059. Would you like me to set it up in terms of what it is, or how would you like to do this?
Well, don't tell us what it says. I always say that.
Okay.
That's always cool if we hear it. And then it's not a guarantee. It's EVP game. You've been through this. I've been through this. You like, oh, yeah, for sure they're going to hear this. And then people don't because it's just your expectation. What am I going to hear? What am I going to hear? Oh, what was it? And then you make a guess,
Yeah.
And then you tell us, and they're like, oh, I totally hear it. It is the EVP game. Sometimes it's so clear, though, you do hear it. So give us just a little, where was it taken? Where did you record this?
It's actually in the first episode of our web series, and it's taken at the Palmer House, and this was recorded in the basement of the Palmer House in a room we call the Snowman Room.
All right. Play it again, maybe a little louder if you can, Jeff. Can't make it out, but I hear like a female voice. I hear it works, but I don't know what the other part is.
Would you like me to tell you what we believe
it's the EVP game.
So there's this room in the Palmer House called the Snowman Room, and because it has this big plastic snowman ornament thing for Christmas, and everyone says that it moves by itself, that sort of thing. And multiple people have said it. So when we did our walkthrough of the Palmer, like the week before we actually went out there to shoot, they took us on a tour, and Shar brought us down there, and she was telling us about the snowman, says it doesn't work. And so what we ended up getting was one person saying it works, and the other person says it does.
It does. Okay. Kind of think I hear that. Okay, go ahead and play it again now. I hear it now. I hear it. It does is a little like disjointed. like the way he's
Yeah,
saying
like
it.
are they saying it does or doesn't? Like
I know,
it
but
works.
it's there. I hear
it. Doesn't.
Yeah, something like that.
But
And that's how it comes through a lot. And that was off of Spirit Box, right? Like an SB7 or.
That was actually just an EVP, straight up EVP.
Oh, still my favorite. I wondered because I was like, I didn't hear any noise. I was like, it sounds like an EVP to me. But that's a really good one. I love EVPs.
I know, and this is one of those situations when I was listening back to it, I heard it, and then I played it again, and I played it again, and played it again, and I just stood up and I walked around the house for like 2 hours. So I was so energized by it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know.
You're just like, oh my god, I can't believe it.
Oh yeah, I have to. For me, it's finding my wife. I go, wait, honey. She's usually on the investigation with me. And,
it's like a high.
It is.
So
that's where I get my
addicting.
adrenaline. If I get
It's
adrenaline
like
rush, it's from that.
parrot
Yeah. That's my parrot crack is the evidence.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Because most of the time you're sitting in the dark, nothing's happening.
Or then you're reviewing back with your headphones, and all of a sudden you hear the EVP in this one weird spot of your headphone that you just know, and you get those goosebumps like they're whispering in your ear all over again.
Yeah, when you get that first good clear one, man, it's an energy buzz for sure.
My first good clear one said, "I hate you," so. I totally lost. I was trying to get some questions from the chat room, and I know Chandra had one really quick before we go to the next one, and I just lost it because it logged me out of my Facebook. I've never had that happen before.
Just got kicked out of my internet.
Oh, great. That's not good.
Playing evidence.
Yeah, Chandra.
I have it on my phone, but that's it.
Chandra asked when you were talking about the deciphering between the child voices and a demon. I think her question was along the lines of, do you ever wonder if it's a dark spirit, like a person who lived posing as a demon? Because I've heard investigators saying that. I know that's why Chandra's bringing it up.
Absolutely I do. In fact, one of the pieces of evidence we could play, if I have it, is one that it's kind of a long way to get to that sort of thing, but it's I think sometimes people, if you're a jerk in real life, you're probably going to be a jerk as a spirit, right? I mean, there isn't. If you're a spirit that's wandering around, there isn't an epiphany of like, oh my gosh, everything is good, I'm so happy. It's more like, I still don't like a lot of you people, and I'm going to make it difficult. And so I think we run into that quite a bit, especially when they're posing to be something else. And I think that's a very, very astute observation.
I think you're 100% about that, because your personality and the core of who you are doesn't go away. That's why I deal with them the same way as living people. I respect them, but if they had a sarcastic kind of crummy attitude then, why would they be all fuzzy-lovey now?
Especially if they're trapped on Earth. They're trapped in their location. And you're in their house probably. And they're like, what are you doing in my house? Get out. That's the most... I don't know how many get outs have you gotten, because I've gotten a ton. Either on Spirit Box or EVP, I've gotten a ton. I don't get out. I'm not like you. Unless I promise. If I make the promise, we'll leave. If you tell us to leave, then I do, because it's fulfilling a promise.
Yeah.
I'll leave for a little bit, but I come back. I said I'd leave. Didn't say I wouldn't come back. I didn't say that.
Technically, I left. Yeah.
But yeah, it seems to be the go-to spirit response is get out.
Oh yeah.
All right, do you want to see if we can pull up that EVP or spirit response?
Yeah. Why don't we? And this is kind of it'll be interesting to see if this comes through this. And this is the apologetic. The apologist in me saying, well, if you can't hear it, because it's coming through it may not be. If you heard it straight up, you may not get it.
I've done a couple. I've done a couple interviews where I know I'm playing these EVPs, and I'm like, okay, if you don't hear this, I promise you, if I was playing it right in front of you, it would be a lot better. So I understand it.
And people listening are like, sure, Greg, sure, yeah, whatever. Okay, why don't we do MN-015? And all I will say about this is that this was taken from the Bliska Axe Murder House.
Ooh, good.
Greg?
What? Is my name?
You said my name. What is your name?
I heard your name twice.
Mm-hmm.
And
but then there's a name at the very end.
Say,
yeah? What?
yeah. I was like half listening and half typing. It sounded like Satan at the end.
That's what it says.
Okay, I didn't want to say. I was going to let Jamie go on that. So, like, okay, I didn't want to be like, oh, like, it says Satan.
Who could it be? Oh, I don't know.
Greg?
My name?
You said my name. What is your name?
And you know it's probably not Satan, so that's just kind of your point. You know, they're
That's
going
exactly
to need
my
the
point.
biggest, baddest demon out there.
Scare you.
Exactly.
What's the word? If they can't affect you any other way but cause you anxiety and the heart racing, it's to give you trigger words that freak you out. And what words freak people out? The devil and Satan, you know?
Who could it be? Oh, I don't know. Satan?
Sorry. Little Dana Carvey there. But, yeah, go ahead.
It's a very interesting piece because, yeah, you first hear Greg, and that's when I ask, did someone say my name? Because they hear my name, and I'm with 3 other people in the room. And then, after I say that, it's said one more time, and then that's when I ask, I know your name, I know you know my name, what's your name? Then you get that. And it's just like, no, you're not. You're not that. And, it's funny because I don't even really want to say the name. I don't want to give it energy. Even the file that I handed off to Jeff, it's called The Name. It doesn't say anything about it on there. You just ignore it altogether.
The poser.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Play it
but
one
I
more
find
time,
it a
Jeff.
very interesting one.
Play it one more time.
Greg?
My name?
You said my name. What is your name?
And the first Greg is really clear. The second one, maybe, but the first one was really clear. You can totally tell it says Greg. And
I have a theory about that. I don't think that was from the spirit box. I think that was actually because the reason why I asked it because it came from behind me.
Oh.
And
the Greg part
I don't
or the
think
Satan
that
part?
was from. Yeah.
Which part, the Satan or the Greg or both?
The Greg.
The Greg.
The first Greg was.
Yeah, and that came through clear.
That wasn't from the spirit box. The Satan part came from the spirit box, I believe.
We were talking about that, how this stuff comes in. I think we were talking about that before the show. How this stuff comes in. Sometimes it uses the audio. EVP. My idea about EVPs, I don't know about you. Electronic voice phenomenon without spirit box, is that they need something to manipulate audio wise, and. And I think it's really just the same deal with the spirit boxes. I think we're just giving them a lot of stuff to play with. Because I don't know, like I said, I could sit a recorder down for a couple hours in an empty room and get nothing. One, I'm not asking any questions, but we'll ask a question and give it a long pause, and there's nothing. But it seems you get the best EVPs if you're like, oh, blah blah blah, yeah, blah blah blah, talking, and then right in between that, boom, there's this EVP. It's neither one of your voices, and it's saying something significant. It's like they're using that audio to somehow communicate or manipulate.
Absolutely. And also, that one thing that we have found, too, like if we're at the Palmer House and we have a lot of people in the room because we're doing an event and we're not getting any spirit box responses, we'll just have the spirit box running and then we'll talk amongst ourselves. And then, sure enough, you're going to have some spirits starting to be like, whoa, hey, what about us?
Yeah,
and they'll start talking to us. Yeah, I love it.
I think I've had a comment. Go ahead.
You think about all the years, though, where they're just passed by. We're doing our thing, and all of a sudden it's like they're talking, and it's like, wait, hey, that's us. They're talking to us. And they get excited, and finally you're giving them some attention.
Absolutely.
I've had them say that they talk too much. I've had them say it. We've had that on the show. What's the response is they talk too much.
I've been told quite a bit.
Usually it's referring to me.
I've had people tell me, when I play a piece of evidence or something like that, that's just radio clutter, But like when they say your name, of all the thousands of names that could be said, and I'm not going to say they're wrong. It could be radio clutter, but what are the coincidences of, Greg coming through when you're talking to him, out of all the names that come through the radio,
or asking, what is my name? And they say Rob right then.
Yeah.
Or saying a name we don't even know yet, like we had on the show when they call in and they're asking for somebody. They're not even saying their name yet, and we get the name, That's incredible. All right, so let's get to, because we got about 17 more minutes, I think, or 18 more minutes. What's another good piece of audio you want to share?
Do you want to hear something else from Bliska?
Yeah. Especially since Satan supposedly is there, right?
Yeah, right. Well, there's a lot of dark crap there. I certainly don't believe Satan's there, but I just called. I'm just gonna say I called it the other day on the show I was on, the great STD of the paranormal, because honestly, you go there and you leave. A lot of people do their own stuff there and ruin the place, and then you go there and you're just picking up the stuff that has been left behind.
I call it STD is this great one. That's a ghost STD. I call it ghost contamination. I believe as investigators we bring our own spiritual stuff with us and contaminate areas. It's just inevitable.
Absolutely. When I was at Bliska last time, someone brought a haunted doll which that was early on in my paranormal stuff. So if I were to go with a group and say pulled that out again, I'd be like, sorry, no, that's not going to work. I'm not going to do it.
Are we getting evidence from the haunted doll, or are we getting evidence from the house?
The scene was contaminated for sure.
Yeah, and that area is.
And the week before, we did the walk. We did the group got together to talk about how we're going to approach the investigation. And the leader of the group, she handed me the doll, and she's like, "This doll's haunted." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" She goes, "This is the evil one." And I
handed it to you, and then tells you.
Handed me, then told me that. I kid you not, it had the lazy eyes, the link. Mm-hmm. One blinked at me, I swear, and I was just.
I would have thrown that doll.
I mean, I wanted to purify myself with fire. It was ridiculous.
It's equivalent of somebody handing something to make you smell it and goes, "Doesn't that smell like shit?" What are you doing? It's like, seriously, why would you hand me a haunted object and go, "Oh, it's haunted. It's haunted by demons." There you go, touch it, press its hair.
I don't like to go into an investigation or a session if I'm not feeling right all the way. If I'm emotional, if I'm feeling weird, if I'm not all the way in my place where I know I should be, I don't like to go in.
Yeah.
I don't do investigations sick, for sure, because I feel like I'm opening myself up to be attacked or attached, because my defenses are down. That's how I feel about it.
And Jamie, I'm assuming you're also saying that you get to a location, it just doesn't feel right. Like if it's not feeling like it's for you to go in and go do that investigation, you'd probably just not go in.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I should trust that instinct. I'm not as wise. I had that feeling about an investigation, and man, it was right, because it turned out horrible with a violent person, a person to be afraid of, not a ghost. And I had that feeling. I wish I would have listened to it. I was like, I had an investigation a long time. I'm gonna go, and boy, I regretted that. I wish I would have listened to my gut feeling.
It's a hard discipline. I mean, especially if you get all your equipment together and you get out there, and say we go out to Bliska, and for me it's about 6 hours away, and you get out there and you're like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. That's a tough discipline to do. I mean, it's a smart one, but it's very tough.
Yeah, if I drove all the way out to Bliska and I've never been there, and my feeling is like, don't go into this house, I'm going into the house. I'm telling you right now, there's nothing. I'm not. I'm going into the house.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can see a demon face coming out the window. I'm like, I drove all this way. I've always wanted to come here. I'm going in. I know I shouldn't. All right, let's play. Let's get another piece of evidence before we run out of time here too. We got about 14 minutes. What else you wanted to play?
Why don't we do MN-060, please?
We're still looking for a name. Give us a name. 6 people killed. That's what this just said. 6 people killed.
What was it saying? Something 6 people killed?
6 people killed.
That's what I thought I heard, and I heard you guys say it, and I wasn't sure what you were saying. Play it again. Or say, sorry. Go ahead.
looking for a name. Give us a name. Six people killed.
It says it twice. It says the 6 people twice.
Just 6 people killed.
It says it in a female voice first. It says 6 people, and then I hear it in a male voice. Six people killed.
And then when we're talking and before, as it's going on, it's hard to hear on this. This actually starting to say it again. It says it about 3 times.
I wondered if it was again. All right, play it again.
We're still looking for a name. Give us a name. Six people killed. That's what this just said. 6 people killed.
I hear like a 6 people after the third time.
Yeah,
6
it's
people.
almost like she's like 6 people, like trying to like 6 people.
And this was the Liska axe murder house.
Yep.
And how many people were killed there?
8.
8. Damn. Too bad it didn't say 8.
Is that something?
But,
I mean,
but weren't there a couple that were neighbors or no?
Yep. There were
So 2 that were neighbors, and then the 6. So they didn't care about their neighbors. Oh.
Maybe 6
So that's
family
creepy.
members that would still be residing in that home.
Right.
Yeah. No, and the thing I find very interesting about it, because I hadn't heard it in like a number of years, and then it was sent to me because I totally forgot I even had it. When I reiterate it, 6 people killed, I just remember, and it comes across in my voice, how kind of disgusted I am. You know, I'm just actually sick when I'm saying it. Like, I can't believe I'm hearing this. This is disgusting. It's horrible. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, they were brutally murdered. I mean, it was kids were murdered in that house. I mean,
And they
it was
have you
horrific.
feel those emotions sometimes.
I know it's happened in investigators.
They make you feel it. They make you go through it.
I've felt that. I've had that on places. I'll never forget before I became an investigator, but when everybody knew I was the weird kid in high school that enjoyed all this stuff, I would get taken to haunted houses. This is before I was an investigator, and I went to one, and this guy, it was so bad, this guy moved out of it. Like, no power was in it, but he couldn't sell it. And I remember walking into this room, and I knew he had told me this woman had been murdered there, but he didn't tell me how. And I went right to this back area, in this covered area, and I said, I don't know. I was just drawn to it, and I said, was she beaten to death? And I've never been a medium or psychic. I just had experiences like it, and I know I could if I wanted to, but as an investigator, I never approached it that way. But this is before then. And I'm like, was she beaten or murdered? Because I was just seeing, I couldn't, like, it was just this candlelight I'm burning to watch. We went there at last minute, no flashlights. I had this candle burning, and I just see, like, her, like, somebody just, like, trying to bat away as somebody's beating the crap out of him. And he's like, yeah, she was beaten to death. And so I know you can feel when something horrible like this happens in a location, you can, if you're sensitive to it, you're going to feel it.
I don't let Jeff, he'll record, but there's times things happen that I just get overcome, and it's embarrassing, you know, so I just tell him, like, don't record this. He's sitting there recording it anyway, but...
I'll admit, I had to walk away. I felt like, this, don't take away my man card, but I felt like crying. That's how I felt. It was horrible.
You have to break that energy. You have to, like, walk out and get air and break that little
what I did.
energy, even for 3 seconds.
I didn't go back
just
in the house,
walk away
actually.
from it.
Well, and do you think, Jason, that you were chosen to get those emotions, opposed to, like, not everyone's going to get that coming in there,
right?
But someone wanted you particularly to know that.
I feel like it was like she was showing me, and I've had that experience throughout my life since I was a kid. And that's why I don't go down the medium path. One, because of the expectation people have when you say you're a medium, and 2, because I don't. To me, I can't control it. When it happens to me, it happens. I mean, I've said a dead person's name.
It just washes over you.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm getting a little glimpse of their soul or something. I don't like it. And that's why I more power to my friends that are mediums, because I can't handle it. I know I might have the ability, and I know it's happened to me, and it's not something I try to do. It just happens. It just, it scares me, to be honest.
No, I get it.
It's a little too close to home.
Where I've been in a great mood, been doing a session, and just like all of a sudden, man, it just hits. And I've sat in a weird location, like crying, going, "What the hell's wrong with me, man?"
Oh yeah.
But it's like
I've
you
seen
have
it
to
happen.
play it out and let the emotions go through, and you have to go through it.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird, but I kind of like it.
I don't.
The train car we go to, I get that all the time, and I had asked for it before when I had touched it, and boy, do they let me feel it, and they made me experience a lot of crazy things there. But as soon as I went up to one spot, it was like instantaneously, I just started it was the strongest I'd ever felt like that. And I'm asking him to stop recording, and, he wouldn't stop recording. But that's like for our own personal files,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I say I like it, it sounds weird, but I mean, it's something that it isn't planned. It's something that I know is real and it's happening.
There's the awe factor of it that you do. Like, there is the awe factor. I'm like, wow, I can't believe that came to me like that, But there's a part of me that just thinks it's very dangerous, and I'm not ready for that. I'm not worthy.
Well, you're sad, and you're connecting with them, and you're feeling the sorrow. It doesn't feel good.
We're running out of time, and I want to see if we can get one more clip. Do you got one more clip you think would be a good one to play?
I do. I want to hear how well it translates on here. It would be MN061. This was done on a Sanjin spirit box. And just the only thing I'm going to say is my dad passed away about 6 months prior to me recording this.
Oh wow.
Do you have anything to say to me that you'd like? Do you have anything to say to me that you'd? Do you have anything to say to me that you'd?
I am having trouble with this one. Jamie?
One more time.
Do you have anything to say to me that you'd? Do you have anything to say to me that you'd?
I hear it right at the beginning, but then the static of the mic picks up.
Do you have
Can't
anything to
find
say
it.
to me that you?
I hear
find?
all I hear is nearby.
So what we're getting from this, the little child voice at the beginning just says, "Your father wants."
Your father wants. Well, I'm not hearing that at all. That's the EVP game. Let's hear it again.
Do you have anything to say to me that you'd? Do you have anything to say to me that you'd?
It trails off. I kind of.
Yeah, it's not a full sentence.
Yeah, go ahead and play it again.
Do you have anything to say to me that you'd? Do you have anything to say to me that you'd?
I hear your father in the wants part kind of is where it trails off.
Yeah.
All right, that's hard. Yeah, and it's the high pitch. I heard nearby when I first heard it, but I can hear it now. I think that's the EVP game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find it very interesting because it's a child. Again, we're talking about child, and there's a little girl voice. Who's that?
Exactly.
What's that about?
So, where can people give all your website, Facebook, YouTube? Where can people check you out?
So, as far as like Facebook, I'm on Facebook, Greg Bakun, if you want to connect. Otherwise, we have a Minnesota GhostBox Facebook page. It's facebook.com/MN GhostBox. I'm on Twitter @MN GhostBox. We have our web series. It's on YouTube. Just type in Minnesota GhostBox. Once again, that's MN GhostBox. But then our website is www.mn-ghostbox.org. And on there has past radio episodes, has the web series, has a lot of our evidence on there if you want to take a listen to, has stuff that Nicole's put up there about the metaphysical realm, about protecting yourself. There's a lot of good stuff up there. And if you also need us for an investigation, we do private investigations. You can get a hold of us through there also, yes. And my email address is greg@mn-ghostbox.org.
Awesome. And you have the radio show you do is it's every Wednesday night?
It's every Wednesday. It's every other Wednesday night on Para X, and we're hoping in a week or two that we can announce some more cool stuff coming up. And our radio show also shows up on iHeartRadio under the After Hours AM feed for iHeartRadio.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And I'd love to I got to figure out a time to come on the show. I can play some of my EVPs for you on your show. We'll figure it out. I'd love to come on.
I love it.
I love doing it, playing the EVP game.
Yes, absolutely. I'd love that too.
And then, also, like I said, I'd love to have you for an ITC collective night where we do the live spirit box and stuff. Get you on location. Our next one is going to be this June 30th or July 30th. I think it is the next one. It's always the last Sunday of the month. We're going to have Steve Huff on.
Okay.
I think this is his third time on the show.
Nice.
He's been doing a lot of cool stuff recently, so we're going to have callers into the show and see if we can get some live spirit communication like we did last week. We had 2 weeks ago. We had some amazing stuff. Check it out, Greg. I mean, there's some really cool responses. And when we get you on here, it'd be really cool to test it out and have the callers call in and see if spirits want to talk to them through your device from your haunted location. That'd be a great experiment to do.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we should probably
from our location.
Jamie, did you have anything else you wanted to add before we ended?
Nope, I'm good. This was a lot of fun, though, and I definitely want to have him back for ITC night.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely got to do that. Next week, I got to see who we got on next week because I forgot to look before the start of the show. I've had Phil Syracusa on from the Horsefly Chronicles. Thank you, Jamie. That's why I love having you on the show, from my ill-begotten memory. We're going to have his wife on, Julia, actually. Yeah. So we get to hear her take on what's been happening there. So I think this is going to be really interesting. We had Phil and Chris on our first year of doing this show. It was a great show with them. But it'd be interesting to hear. We never got to hear so much from Julia. I'd see her in the background in some of his videos and some of the stuff they do. But she's just been just as much involved. I know how my wife is with our kids. She's not on the show with us, but she's just as much involved in the paranormal investigation as I am. She's just as much of a good investigator as I am, but she doesn't, come on the show. She's upstairs taking care of the kids, so she doesn't get to have her piece to say. One day we're going to get her on. Well, that's why I'm kind of excited to get Phil's wife on and to get her take, because there's been a lot. This has been going on for a few years now with the Horsefly Chronicles, and they're still documenting stuff there, so it'll be interesting. All right. So next Sunday, guys, same bat time, same bat channel. Thank you, Greg, so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Get you on again. Hey, well, not just another ITC collective night or have you on for that. I'd like to have you on as a guest again. Play more evidence. I love EVPs. I'm addicted. So
love to. Thank you.
It's my paranormal crack. All right, guys. Like I said, same bat channel, same bat time. Next Sunday, 10 p.m. to midnight Central Time, 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Eastern. We will be on Facebook Live and on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. You can watch us on Facebook at Midwest Paranormal Presents ParanormalSoup.com or not .com, Facebook, whatever. Just look it up on that. Or on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network.com. You can go there, listen to us there, or on TuneIn. Check out our show on YouTube. We have all of our old episodes there. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in tonight. See you next week.